Today I'm going to be making the Sonoma Ooey Gooey Pecan Pie Bar Baking Mix. This was $18.95. $18.95 at Sonoma. It makes 16 squares. It says rich maple pecan bars with a buttery shortbread crust. Just add butter, water, and an egg. So there are two sets of ingredients that you need. You need for the crust ingredients, and then you need for the filling ingredients. Right now we're just looking at the for the crust ingredients because we're going to do the inside later. So for the crust you need 8 tablespoons or 1 stick of cold unsalted butter cut into cubes. I'm going to cut this into cubes, and you see 2 sticks here. This is 1 whole stick. I've gotten several comments lately that you're not supposed to use 2 on something, you're supposed to use 1. These are half sticks. That's what I like to use, is half sticks. I know that confuses some people. Then you need 1 package of the crust mix, which is in here, and you need 1 teaspoon of water plus more is needed. So we might need more than the 1 teaspoon. So you preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You want to either spray an 8-inch square pan with nonstick spray and line with parchment paper, or you just want to use parchment paper. I don't see any point in spraying the inside of the pan.
You just have to wash it.
Right. The whole point of using parchment paper is so you don't have to wash your pan. So I have an 8-inch pan, which you'll see later when we need it, and I have put my parchment paper inside. So to make the crust, we're going to cube this butter. So I'm going to do that right now real quick. Okay, so now it says place the butter cubes and crust mix in the bowl of an electric mixer fitted with a flat beater and mix on low speed until the mixture resembles coarse crumbs. While the mixer is running, add the water a few drops at a time until the dough starts to come together. If the dough seems dry, add more water a few drops at a time until it comes together. So in here, this is packed. I'm wondering if there's any words on it.
Say what's what.
Yes, it does. It says filling, and then this says base mix. So that's what we want, is the base mix. So we're going to put this and our butter in our mixer. Looks like crumbly to me, so I'm going to start adding my water a little bit at a time, my 1 teaspoon, and just know that I might end up having to add more. So this pretty much, I used just a little bit more than 1 teaspoon, and this came together really well, and it comes together all at one time.
That's what I say, you gotta be patient, because it may seem like it's not doing anything, and all of a sudden it'll go whoop.
Yeah, all of a sudden it'll do it. So now they want you to move this over to your pan, and then this is my 8-inch pan, and now you can use a spatula or you can use your fingers, whichever one is more comfortable for you, and just spread it out and evenly cover the whole bottom of the pan. So now we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to let it bake for 20 to 22 minutes. I'm going to go for 21 minutes. And then once it comes out, we're going to let it cool for 15 minutes before we move on to the next step. So this is how the crust looks after 21 minutes. I'm going to leave it here. You have to let it cool for 15 minutes, like I said. While we're letting that cool, though, we have to move on to the filling. So for the filling, you need your filling mix, which is included. You need an egg, 3 tablespoons of water, and 3 tablespoons of butter melted and slightly cooled. So we're going to take our egg and our water, And I'm gonna just take a fork and mix this together. Now I'm gonna take my filling. And you could do this in a bowl just without your mixer, but since I already have my mixer out, I'm gonna use my mixer because why not? But you can see all those pecans in there. And so then you want to take your egg and water mixture and then your butter, and then we're going to mix this together. So now we're gonna leave this mixture here for 20 minutes. You just let it sit for 20 minutes. So we're waiting on the crust to cool off and we're gonna let this sit. My timer went off, it's been 20 minutes. So now I'm gonna pour this over the top of the crust. And I just made sure I covered up all the bottom layer. And now you want to bake this for 28 to 30 minutes. I'm going to bake it for 29 minutes and then we'll be back. So this is how they look after 29 minutes in the oven, and you can hear it sizzling. Yeah, that's how hot it is. So I'm going to let these sit here. It'll probably take them an hour at least to cool off, but they need to cool completely before we even attempt to cut them. So these have been cooling for an hour and 10 minutes. And this is why you don't spray your pan, because if you spray your pan, then you're gonna have to wash it. The whole point for me of parchment paper is to be lazy. And
it doesn't stick.
Yeah, it doesn't stick. You don't get any ugly first pieces. It's all pretty pieces. So, I'm just gonna cut these into bars. Says, inspired by classic pecan pie, our custom blended mix makes it easy to bake tempting treats for fall gatherings. These decadent bars combine a crisp, buttery shortbread cookie crust with an irresistibly sweet, gooey filling enriched with maple sugar and crunchy pecans. Just add a few fresh ingredients and enjoy a classic homemade dessert. That's interesting that they said maple because I smelled maple while they were baking.
You can smell a little bit right now.
Yeah. Well, and it says rich maple pecan bars. So 16 is how many you're supposed to get. I got 16. They're pretty small, just so you know. Small little squares. The dry mix is 100 calories. Prepared is 180 calories. Prepared exclusively for Williams Sonoma in San Francisco, California. Okay, so you picked yours up with your fingers.
It's pretty stable.
Well, bars you usually can pick up with your fingers.
That the flavor's really nice. I like the pecan flavor. It does remind you of the pecan pie. The bottom's a little softer than what, and that comes down to us baking it. It probably could have baked a little longer and got a little crisper, but because they said a crisp shortbread, this is not crisp, it's softer. So that's a bake time thing, that's not their fault thing.
Well, it didn't get brown for me. I could have left it longer for sure.
Very buttery.
Yes, very buttery.
And you know, for that whole crust to only have one stick of butter, it's still very, very rich.
I think it's kind of flaky. The crust.
I see that. I like that. It's really good.
I think it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. They're thinner than what I expected them to be. They look a little bit different than I thought they would look from the picture on the front. Right. I was expecting them to actually look like that, and they don't. They're not as thick when you make them as that.
No, they're close though. They're pretty close to the top. The topping's pretty close to that. I think it did pretty good job of taking a picture of that without misrepresenting it. Because you know that sometimes they do that in pictures.
I ate an end piece, so where it melted on the end, you get some chewy parts around the edges. I don't think the maple is not a chemical maple.
No.
It's not too
Just
strong.
adds sweetness really more.
Yes, it adds a lot of sweetness. The pecans are really nice. I think these are delicious. If you didn't want to buy the ingredients and do it yourself, I think this is a really nice baking mix.
Yeah, it's really good.
And
Now, could you go buy just a big old pecan pie? Yes, you could. This is going to be a little different. I think the pecan part in the middle is similar, but the flavors are a little different. But the crust is the difference. And I kind of like it soft like this.
I do too.
It's kind of soft and like sugary, gritty, kind of like a cookie. I kind of like that. But if you want it crisper, just bake it longer and get it really good and brown on the top. And then you'll have a crunchier base. It's whatever you want personally.
And the only other thing that I was going to add is these do go on clearance if they have any left. So this was $18.95. Hopefully you'll be able to find it cheaper if they have any left.
Yeah.
But I do think this is very delicious.
Yeah, it's a little expensive, but I mean, you know, you're going Williams-Sonoma. Of course it's going to be expensive.
And I would cut them in, honestly, I cut them just like I cut brownies or anything else.
Yeah, I think they're a good size, but you want to eat 2 of them.
Oh, right. I'm going to end up eating a lot more than just that one little square.
Right.
That's just to get you started. And then you just want more because it's so buttery and rich.
Very, very buttery, very rich, good pecan flavor.
But not
very
overly,
sweet.
it is sweet, but not like over the top sweet.
Yeah.
It's not like you're eating a spoonful of buttercream.
Right.
But it
Brown
is
sugar.
sweet in its own way.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
So I hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.